So my role at CSIRO is Commercialisation Director, so I lead a team of professionals that look at taking inventions and technologies to market. So how do we get things out of the lab and apply them in the real world? CSIRO invented Wi-Fi, of course, so that has to be our key invention that's recognised worldwide, but there's been a number of other ones. Polymer banknotes is one, the Relenza flu medication. There is actually a whole range. What does the innovation race mean to me? You know, I see it's a race in some areas, especially in fast-moving areas. In other areas, you know, there's a lot of it's a lot slower, and I think some of the breaks are around regulatory issues, around people and adoption issues. So I wouldn't say it's a universal race, but certainly, you know, there's continual progress, and I think future growth depends on innovation. So to my mind, you know, innovation is different to invention. So invention is not innovation. The scientists have to be very good at invention. When we look at those inventions, there's a number of questions we ask before we, you know, take them through to a process around innovation. And I see the difference between invention and innovation is that innovation is driven by curiosity and discovery and creativity, and that's what the scientists are very good at. Innovation is actually about application and adoption, and so therefore there has to be an economic overlay. So when I take an invention, I ask some key questions to determine whether or not we'll be able to translate that and take that through to innovation. Those key questions, I mean, the first one is who cares? So is there a market, and ideally is there a large enough, significant market for whatever the invention is? And then there are three key questions that are about commercialisation. So is it repeatable? So some inventions are very complex and they're very difficult to reliably reproduce outside the laboratory. So that makes them inherently less likely to be commercialised. Is it scalable? So can we make enough of whatever it is that we're doing to satisfy the market? Again, some inventions don't scale well. And then finally, is it viable? So, you know, can we make the widget for less than what we can sell it for, or less than what the market will bear? And so it's only once you've got the answer to some of those questions that you can really determine whether an invention will have a life outside the laboratory and actually have the potential to commercialise. So you end up with a package that you commercialise. You need different people for different stages, and this is where I believe the scientists, with few notable exceptions, will not be the people who drive the innovation. They drive the discovery and the invention. The innovation and commercialisation is actually driven by different kind of people, and there's people who invent stuff, and there's often different people who actually develop that invention into something that you can use. So take, for example, the great example of Thomas Edison and the light bulb. So can't remember their names, but there were a different pair of people who actually invented did the carbon filament experiment and created the initial light, passing a current through the filament and created light. So the initial invention of the light bulb was not Thomas Edison's. He took that invention and spent hours reproducing it, trying different types of filaments to get the one that was going to ultimately last the longer, and that is what led to light as we know it. So there's different people, and the initial inventors of the light bulb, the carbon filament, actually didn't know what to do with it. That's another mistake we often make. We expect one party to drive it, but we actually need to work out the transitions, and I believe that particularly in terms of commercialising public sector research institutions, so IP from universities or CSIRO, we actually need to be much better at transitioning or handing over the baton to the next type of people who are going to take it to the next step. The same way that startup companies often require a different CEO to publicly listed companies or BHP Billiton, you know, there are different phases of growth that require a different mindset, a different kind of person to take it to the next level.